Hello. Sorry, guys.
Hello. It worked. So don't give up, guys.
Babbling stuff.
Whoa. Hold on. Makeup check, Chelsea. Oh my God.
Where are you going? He's like, the airport. I go, which one?
Oh my God. I had a bad hair day.
Just let her.
Sometimes I'll just pretend like she's in the shot just so, yeah, I am going on vacation with my wife, massaging my face and everything. That's exactly.
Good day, everybody, and welcome to a new series I'm starting on my channel called Behind the Passport, where we explore the stories that shape us long before the stamp hits the page. Each episode, I sit down with great people to talk about their travel adventures, life experiences, the lessons they learned, and the moments that changed them forever. It's not about where they've been, it's about who they become or who they became along the way. Today, I'm joined by two YouTube creators that have captured my admiration in just 4 weeks. I've binged watched all of their episodes, and they have quickly become some of my favorite content creators on YouTube. They are funny, down to earth, and most importantly, relatable. So a warm welcome to Tae and Chelsea from A Pretty Good Life. Welcome to the show.
Hi.
Dude,
So-
I heard that and I started tearing up a little bit because it actually means a lot that you and other people appreciate watching.
Well,
our
you've
channel.
got I was a fan first, and then sort of I guess an interview second. And I'm not very quick to subscribe to channels because I think people just hammer the subscribe button a little bit too much. I'm really choosy where I pick my time, and like I said, you both are just so relatable that probably after 3 or 4 episodes, I was quick to hit subscribe, and it became a part of my nightly routine to watch you guys before bed. It's unfortunate that I've gone through all of your content now because I need you guys to go on vacation again or do something so I can have something to watch before I go to bed.
All right, I'm listening to the cries.
But Tae, Chelsea, like first, I want to thank you for being a part of the premiere episode of Behind the Passport. Before we get into some things a little bit deeper, I thought we'd start with a couple of rapid fire questions. So I don't want you to think about these questions in, with too much depth, but just kind of spit out whatever comes first. Okay. So The first question is window or aisle seat?
Window.
Window.
Okay, well, so you're gonna have to fight over the window. All right.
Yeah.
Mountains
usually win.
or it's a good methodology to keep is keep the wife happy and get her by the
Exactly. She gets it. She gets the window.
Mountains or beach?
Beach.
Beach.
Okay, all right. Early flight or red eye?
Doesn't matter.
I prefer early flight.
Okay, who gets hangry first?
Oh, that's me. Those commercials about the Snickers? That I need to be carrying a Snickers. Yep, for those moments.
That's good.
Yeah.
So what's one country that you guys would move to tomorrow?
You know what? I would say Costa Rica.
Oh, I have no idea. It's too difficult. I don't know.
That's
I don't know. I've traveled to so many places that are just wonderful and beautiful, and I had great experiences. It's just really hard to pick one spot.
It sounds like Chelsea would move on to an airplane so you can get to wherever you want to be.
Yeah,
that's actually
yeah.
Okay, and the last of the rapid fire questions, who says let's do it more often?
I think it's me.
I would say Tae.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
That's perfect. Who is more likely to miss their flight?
I don't think any of us will ever miss our flight.
No.
Yeah. I think we're just very responsible people. I would get a lot of anxiety if I cut my time short trying to get through an airport.
So we're never going to see like a video where it's 15 minutes before your flight and you guys are running through to try to catch it.
No, I'd have anxiety.
Yeah, if you ever saw it, we will mark that day on a calendar. I mean, we've had layovers that cut it close, super close. But trying to get to the airport and get our first flight, I don't think it'll ever happen. We're too excited to travel.
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing. There's no way I'm going to miss my flight going somewhere. Coming home, on the other hand.
Yep. Okay, so let's dive into your origin story and spend a couple minutes, to help me get to know you better, and obviously anyone who's watching to get to know you better. Why don't we start with the typical question we've got a couple on, which is how did you both meet?
Yeah, man. So during the Great Recession in 2008, the job that I was working, I ended up getting laid off. So I was applying for other jobs, and in the meantime, I was just I actually was visiting my foster mom at the school that she taught at, and had lunch with her and just to hang out until I heard back from some interviews. She asked if I was dating anyone, and I told her no, and she's like, "Well, I think one of her students she thought I would hit it off with, and it was Chelsea." And I've been on blind dates before, and those are some interesting stories. And I'm like, before I agree, I want to meet her first. You want to explain what you were going to school for?
So I had just graduated from my undergrad and I needed a job, and Ty just said it was the recession. So there were no jobs. So I actually had to figure something out so I could pay for my student loans. So I decided to go to school to get my nail and aesthetics license. And so I was in the process of doing that. And I probably had a few more months left before I finished my courses and took the test so I could go out and get a job to pay for my loans.
So when I came in, she had to get a certain number of hours of practice under her belt for doing facials.
Yep.
And I'm like, you know what? Sign me up. This is a great opportunity for me to talk to her, while she's massaging my face and everything. And I met her, and I started talking to her. I'm like, wow, she's very experienced. I found out she's traveled a bunch of places, and I found her captivating. And that's when I was hooked. There was a number of steps until we actually officially dated, but
we went on a couple of dates, but then I wasn't sure if I wanted to ruin my relationship with his foster mom because she was my friend first. So I had some
reservations.
Yeah. Before actually like making a commitment and wanting to.
Meaning that the relationship with Ty's foster mom was really important to you.
Yes.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I think it was really important to me because I met her maybe 8 months after my mom passed away. So I think it was someone I kind of like just hooked on to at that time of my life. So
yeah,
that's really special.
Yeah. And I didn't want to ruin anything that I had established.
Yeah, that's really special. Do you guys remember your first, I guess, official date? That was considered a date, not like, going out for coffee or whatever, but
I do.
Yeah, I do.
Man,
he messed it up.
It was actually very poor planning on my part, and I thought, well, maybe I wrecked it because that first date was not what I intended. At first, I was like, hey, there was a comedy house. I'm like, let's go get some dinner and then go see a comedy show, and just have a good time, get some drinks and everything. And the place wasn't open at the time, and I'm like, crap, I'm scrambling for a last minute thing. So we still went out to dinner, but we went to go see a movie.
Yeah.
And at the time there was like no good movies out except for like, it was Star Trek.
Yeah.
And I'm like, yeah, I didn't really even want to see it, but I'm like, I just wanted to spend time with her. And I guess the movie probably wasn't the greatest because you watch the movie and you're not able to talk to one another.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was our first date. But our second date, we did go to the comedy show.
We had to do a do-over.
Yeah.
So. Wasn't it just the night that we had planned going out? They just didn't have any shows scheduled.
Yeah.
I think that's what it was. So I think a few days later, we did actually go to the comedy show. So yeah.
I think that's really special because, in today's day and age, I think modern day dating, the art of getting to know somebody and going on an actual date has been lost. I've got a bunch of friends who are still single looking for their forever travel partners, and it seems like things go backwards. So it's nice to hear a nice traditional story like your story. But Ty, let's get a little bit more on the personal side here. So Ty, do you remember when you realized that, Chelsea was the girl for you?
I mean, I think it was pretty much after I met her. I told you there was a quite some time between when I met her and when we officially started dating, and it was because she did have some reservations, but for me, it was like she was playing hard to get. And I'm like, man, I thought we had like a lot in common and everything. We're both open-minded people. And I was pursuing her for a good year. I was like inserting myself into like situations. So like her cousin and friends, like they went to trivia night. So I decided, I'm like, well, I kind of hang out with them too. I'm like, we started going to trivia night, and I'm like just hoping like maybe Chelsea will be there, and then there was like they would have live music down in downtown in the city, and I'm like, well, maybe I'll go with her cousins, and then maybe she'll be there. And I was hoping that I could establish, that friendship, and we can get to know each other in like a more casual setting instead of being pressured to be a couple.
I think that helped.
Yeah, but I'm like from day one, I'm like, I want to date her.
So the key to all of our listeners, I guess, is non-creepy persistence.
That's a key to a good relationship. It could have came off creepy, but you know what? I was hanging out with a lot of with her cousins and friends and stuff. So it felt more natural, and it was like a way to get to know the family and then Chelsea, and it worked. So don't give up, guys. Don't give up.
And Chelsea, now going to you. When did you realize that Tae was your forever travel partner?
Probably not as quickly as Tae. I'm a little bit, I think, more cautious, and maybe like a year into it, or officially after dating, I knew it just seemed easy. I didn't feel like I had to work at a relationship. Everything just came naturally, and I think that's when I realized.
I know you talked about when you first met each other, you had shared that you both, I guess Chelsea, you had traveled before, and then, that was something that you saw as common ground. So can you talk about when travel became a shared passion for both of you as a couple?
Actually, do you want to talk about all of the places that you have already been before we even met? It's a crazy list.
So my family, we used to do a lot of traveling in the United States. We would do a lot of camping, going to different cities. But then my mom wanted to start traveling outside of the country. So we went to England, we did Scotland. So my mom was a teacher, so she had the summers off. So we had the opportunity to take like 3-4 weeks during the summertime to go travel somewhere. So that's how I got that. I love traveling. And I started getting the itch pretty young. I think the first time, not counting Canada, going like overseas was England. And I think I was in like first, second grade, and I just loved it. I loved flying. I liked seeing new people, the food, learning. I think I've learned more from my travel experiences than sometimes I think I did in school. But I've been to Europe. I've been to probably most of the European countries. I've been to England probably 5-6 times. I've been to Africa. I've been to the Galapagos Islands and Ecuador. I'm trying to think where else. Australia. So I've been to 5 of the continents. So I still have Asia and Antarctica to go to. So that is one of my bucket list, is to hit all 7 continents. So I just like traveling. And I did take a little lull there for a while, like when I was at the end of college and trying to find a job and being able to get money and taking time. And I think we didn't travel big trips when we first started dating. We do like smaller, long weekend trips and things like that. And then
so that was her travel experience up until that point. And then my travel experience was vastly different. I mean, so like my family growing up, it was more like the regular family vacations where, we would go up to Maine or Virginia Beach and visit family or visit other friends, which is fine. It was great as a kid to be able to go on a vacation. But I think the furthest out of country that I've ever gone was to Canada. I don't think I've ever been anywhere else, to be honest. I was actually born in South Korea, but other than that, I haven't been on a plane. That's like the stark contrast between the two of us. So I'm kind of playing catch up.
Right.
And I told Chelsea, I'm like, I'm sorry, but we have to repeat some of her childhood trips because they're places that I've never been to.
I'm not opposed to it, but I do want to go to some new places as well.
But then one of our first trips together out of the country was
a cruise.
Yeah, for Chelsea's 30th birthday, I surprised her with our first cruise. It was at the time where we're fresh in our careers, and I'm just like, everything is more. You have to run on a budget, and we did Carnival, and we went to the Cayman Islands, Cozumel. Where else did we go? Was that it?
We did a short cruise because Tae gets seasick and motion sickness, so we didn't want to do a longer, just in case he had a horrible experience.
And I did get motion sickness on that cruise.
Yeah,
it was pretty bad. But I included, some of our friends and family in that trip, and we had a great time.
Yeah, I had a really good time. That was probably how many years into our relationship? Maybe 3 years.
Yeah,
probably.
A couple years.
Yeah, 2-3 years.
And I think that's the hardest part, is being able to afford to go on trips. So, and we're at that stage where we're fortunate to be able to travel as much as we do. So now it's just kind of ramping up.
It really is special when you do have the means to travel, and especially travel the world. Some of us that have been traveling for a long time, we often think we forget how hard it can be for some people to be able to afford to do the things that we do, which is why I find it so special when I came across your channel. Like, it's like the vacations that you take are very relatable. I think for most people, we're going to vacation a lot like you do, and I'd like to see more of that on social media and YouTube. Not the highlight reel vacation. Hardworking couples spending their hard-earned money doing the things that they love. So when I go to your YouTube channel, I realized that your first video was 2 years ago. What was maybe travel and life like before you started picking up a camera and bringing it with you on trips?
Well, 2 years ago, we went on our Alaskan cruise, and we had, of course, because of COVID, we had to take a pause from a lot of traveling, as did everyone else. And we were just ready to go, be gung ho. But before that, I think it was more spur of the moment. I don't think we focused so much on traveling. When you own a home, that also is an expense that you have to balance. But what did we do before that?
You got married and went to Costa Rica.
Yeah, no, that's right. Yeah. That was after COVID. But what I don't think that the amount of trips that we're taking now has been like exponentially more than in previous years. But I think that's based only because we're putting more emphasis, well, not only on the channel to have more content, but we want to enjoy traveling, and I think we enjoy it so much more, and being able to share that we're like addicted. Yeah. I'm addicted.
I've been addicted to traveling. I think too is when we did go to Costa Rica, we had such a great time, and we didn't capture it in a lot of photos and videos, and I think we wish we did. So when we were going on our next trip, was the Alaskan cruise, I think we decided that we really wanted to document more of that experience for us to have and go back to. Wouldn't you say so?
Yeah, Costa Rica was a blast, and I keep talking about it. I'm like, I want to mulligan on that trip, because we saw so many cool things. Saw, sloths. I love sloths. When we did zip lining, we went to the rainforest. We got married there. We got to see and feed the monkeys, the capuchin monkeys, and it was so much in such a short period of time that I'm just like, I can remember those things, but being able to see and remember them would just kind of emphasize that trip a little bit more.
I wish we had done more than just what on our phones. I kind of wish. Yeah, I think that's it. And then I think we just learned from that trip that we wanted to do more. And then Tae was talking about, we were just trying, weren't you thinking about maybe just doing a YouTube channel or something like that?
Yeah.
In the back of your mind?
Yeah, I've always had, people suggest, because I get into a lot of hobbies, and they say like, hey, you should do YouTube. And it wasn't based on traveling. It was, hey, you should do YouTube because I like to build stuff. I do a lot of my own construction and woodworking and stuff. And I'm like, no, I think building it and filming it and then editing it is going to make me not want to build stuff again, because it's just going to feel like work, when it was more like almost like therapy to get my mind somewhere else and be creative and build something. But I think with YouTube, it's a different type of experience, because we're generating memories, and I appreciate those memories more now that they're in video form, and I'm more motivated to edit video.
And that's what our idea wasn't to become big or anything like that. It was just to document our own experiences and have it and be able to go back and watch it and relive it.
Yeah.
So that was our goal.
I remember when, my wife and I, Jen, started traveling pretty quickly after we started dating. And it was, I have 15 years of trips, and we take at least 1 to 2 trips a year. It could be going back to see, her family on the East Coast, or, we started cruising heavily 14, 15 years ago. And outside of a few pictures on my phone from a couple of years, I don't have a lot. And I remember watching your introduction video. You talked about doing it for yourselves and having something to look back on and relive it. I thought that's probably one of the first things I related to is technology now in the modern age gives us the ability to literally relive our memories. And growing up, all we had was a camera. And even when you had a camera or a video camera, you never knew if the footage was going to work out or not, especially in the photography age. You had to develop it, so you didn't know if you took a picture of a wall or if your exposure was all messed up. And I know when I go to my parents' place now, they have all these albums of all the trips we've taken in the past, and I'm so thankful they did that, because at least there's a picture there. But with modern day technology, we can literally relive it. Was there a moment where the two of you sat down before that introduction video and said, you know what, like let's do this? Was it a conversation, or did it just happen one night where you picked up the camera? Talk to me about that.
It was definitely my idea to do that. And being new to the whole vlogging world, I didn't know where to start, especially with equipment. I dove into the research of software and what I need for a computer. Luckily, I had, a robust enough computer to do the editing. So I started out with buying some equipment, and I ran the idea past Chelsea. And at first it was, I think, correct me if I'm wrong, that it's, hey, this seemed like more like a hobby for me. And if I'm going to deal with the camera and do the editing, that whatever, you're along for the ride. Right. You pretty much support any hobby that I pick up.
Yeah.
But then it got turned to a point where just, hey, storytelling is very difficult, and I'm still learning that part of it. But I think it was my idea first, and you supported along the way, and I pitched it to you so she could help support the spending habits of the new equipment. And I'm a very good salesman, by the way. I can sell anything to Chelsea. At least I think so.
But it was a lot of work.
Yeah.
I mean, we each have our full-time jobs, so it was a lot of work to take on. So I slowly started doing a little bit more, and I really don't like being in front of the camera at all. Like, how many times when we went on vacation before, you're like, let's get a picture. And I'm like, nah, let's take a picture, but I don't really want to be in it. Like, I really just don't like being in front of the camera. I would rather see animals in the pictures or the landscape. I don't want to be in it. I don't know. That was just how I've always been. But so this has been getting me out of my comfort zone.
Yeah, it's funny because some people that I've talked to, I told them about doing this podcast, and they're like, "Oh, are you gonna let Chelsea talk?" And I'm like, she doesn't want to talk. She really doesn't want to be in front of the camera. So when she does, it's like sometimes like pulling teeth. But I'm like, Chelsea, can you just explain how you feel here? Sometimes I'll just pretend like she's in the shot, just so, yeah, hey, I am going on vacation with my wife. Here she is.
Or he has to ask me questions just to get me going, like getting.
And you are more the planner.
Yeah.
And I think we have kind of our roles with the channel is like, I'll do a lot of the storytelling, and I'm thinking about, the different shots and how to compose those shots and
The
how
editing.
and then the editing part. I deal with like all the hardware, and then Chelsea, you manage the vacation, right? And where are we going next? Or yeah, you're organized in that fashion. So
Yeah,
I
doing
think
the
it works out
research and
well.
looking into everything and planning.
Yeah.
So
You can definitely tell looking at the videos that you got your supporting cast, Ty. And I remember watching a few videos where there was one where you're transitioning from, I think you're flying home. I think it was from California. You were flying, or Seattle, and you're walking through the airport, and you're talking about getting something to eat, and you're in front of the camera worrying about that, and then Chelsea pulls out of her bag some wraps or something like that. So there's this support cast there, or you both support each other in the sense, one person's doing another thing, but there's a support structure in the back, making sure that you're fed and you've got
Yep.
Yeah.
you've got drinks and all that.
Makeup check, Chelsea.
Also, too, like if he's editing, I mean, we still have like normal things that we need to do, like laundry and keep the house clean and eat and things like that, and go shopping, grocery shopping and things like that. So there's still other things that I still have to do. So he has time to take time to, do the editing and doing his thing. So
yeah,
we're like that, Ty. There's when you walk into a hotel room, you're not, I shouldn't say, I don't know if embarrass is the right word, but you'll always give Chelsea credit. You'll be like, oh, Chelsea found us this place, or this is, this is where she found us a place to stay. So, you get a really good sense that you both work together to create experiences,
That's
versus
a good perspective, because I don't realize that.
Every adventure story has a beginning, and, it's not always glamorous. And I think it's nice to hear that. When it came to yours, it was, an awkward start, but coming from a fan, I can say that I'm happy that you did, and I'm happy that you continue to do it, because I get a lot out of your experience. But let's dive deeper into actually A Pretty Good Life and your YouTube channel. Where did the name come from?
You go ahead.
Oh man. So when we decided to start the YouTube channel, I think coming up with a name is the most difficult part, because it's like, how do you want to describe yourself? Like, that name is like cemented, at least in my mind. And for probably a couple weeks, we were just going back and forth. What do you think about this, that? We're actually going for a walk with Poopy, or London. She's on my side right here. And like any typical dog lover, I'm walking her and
talking to her.
And I just tell her, I'm like, Poopy, you don't realize how good you have it. You live a pretty good life. And Chelsea looked at me, and she's like, that would be a good name for the channel. And I thought about it. I'm like, oh my God, it would be. It just kind of encompasses like what we want to gain in life, is just living a pretty good life. It doesn't have to be the best life or the most stellar life. It's, hey, we're comfortable. We got it pretty good over here.
And enjoying what we do.
Exactly.
So that's how
so
we
it's
got
all based on this little dog here. So this little dog lives a pretty good life, and I'll let her fall back asleep.
What's really interesting with all the years that YouTube has been in existence, I think a lot of people feel the same way that you do. I was surprised that the name wasn't taken. I mean, there's so many names that you could pick, and the fact that you could name it exactly the way that you wanted to is an amazing thing. Do you remember that first video that you filmed? Your I think it was called like your introduction video or whatever.
Yeah.
Like what was your mindset or your intentions when you'd filmed that first video?
Yeah, so I knew zero about editing a video. That was the first time I edited film. That was the first time trying to set something up with audio, with the camera. And I look back and I'm like, oh my God, I was an amateur, but you got to start somewhere. And I remember I did a lot of research on how to start a YouTube channel. And the recommendation was just start it. Don't worry about not having everything in place. Just start with what you have, because you're going to learn from it. I decided in my mind, I'm like, okay, well, maybe I'll have a green screen. And the one I had just wasn't big enough to fit like the full area. So our shoulders were like the green screen wasn't effective enough. And you could see that in that first video. and our dialogue just kind of flowed.
And it was a little bit before we were going on our Alaska cruise. So I think it was just trying to get an intro to who we are and what our expectations were of doing this, doing YouTube.
You know, I learned a lot actually just from that one experience. Especially like, hey, when you have dialogue like this and conversations, it's the power of editing. You could just cut stuff out if you don't like it and then splice it back together and you're good.
I was actually surprised how much, even though Tae had just started doing a lot of research, he already was like babbling stuff that I had no idea what he was talking about.
I'm probably
between the equipment and like the language of streamers and everything, and I'm like, I was just kind of flabbergasted from that video.
I just took the reins. I'm like, okay, I'll do it. And when I edited that film, I learned a lot, like drop out the green screen and putting something else in the background and tracking us. It was super difficult. And I knew what to expect the next time I did it and how to overcome those challenges. And at the time it was super frustrating, but I look back now and I'm like, well, that was a stepping stone. That helped me in my storytelling that, hey, this is not a good way to go about this. You know, look for an alternative.
Chelsea, when you look back at some of your videos, do you know, I guess for guys like Tae and I, our hairstyles are either long or short. Do you look back at your videos and think back to your hairstyles and like tie them to what you were trying at the time or things like that?
I don't think so, but I'll be like,
I remember one of the videos. We'll watch our videos because
we do watch them pretty frequently.
We do like to reminisce about them. And we'll talk about the behind the scenes stuff that happened that her and I kind of almost like inside jokes. And I wish that we had a camera crew 24/7 that could capture those things. But I remember one of the videos, we were playing it and you're watching yourself. And you're like, oh my God, I had a bad hair day. Why did you say something?
I have done that before. I'm like, Tae, why didn't you tell me like my hair is like sticking up? But he's not looking at that type of things. He's just looking at everything else. He could probably care less if my hair's sticking up. But yeah.
I'm like,
as long as I guess I don't have anything in my teeth, just tell me if I got something in my teeth before we go on.
But you know what? If I had something in my teeth, I would be like, you know what? That's making the cut. That's going in there.
Yeah.
You know, because we're normal people like everyone else. You know,
I would hope on a normal day you would tell me if I have something in my teeth.
Yeah.
So why not?
One of the stats I've been researching about with YouTube is over 1 million people across the world try to start a YouTube channel every year. And of that million, less than 5% continue to do it past their first couple of videos. You both have stood the test of time. You've consistently released content. You've built up I would say a good followership, because looking at your views in relation to your subscribers, you can tell that, just like me, we're involved and we want to see what you're going to do next. Was there a time where you felt like this YouTube thing has gotten real?
So there's a couple instances that kind of stand out to me. And being a creator and an influencer can be two totally different things. But I had someone reach out I love it when people are engaging in the comments and ask questions, because I love helping them. And I do a lot of the answering. And if I can't answer it, I say, hey, Chelsea, what's the answer to this question here? But someone really liked our video. I answered their question. And this was the Iberostar Joya video.
About that, yeah.
And they're like, oh my God, thank you for answering our question. They're like, we're going to be booking this trip. And I thought to myself, I'm like, oh my God, Chelsea, we're influencing how people spend their money on their vacation. And I'm like, that was actually a pretty cool feeling that our experience and that information that they got from our video helped them in making a decision. As a creator and knowing like YouTube is like a worthwhile journey, I don't think it really hit. I personally take it day by day. And I have like lofty ambitions. I don't have to get there tomorrow or, 2 years from now. I'm enjoying it right now.
I think we would still do it even if we weren't really successful. As we said, we were started this for ourselves. So I would hope that we would still continue it, even if, we didn't get any more subscribers or anything like that.
I think
Yeah,
there's
it's
really
it's a
something endearing when people start something out of a passion, whether it's a
Yeah.
business or a YouTube channel, and then you see success out of it. Not thinking about your past, your past travels as individuals. Was there a trip that you both took that that changed you, or maybe your most memorable trip together?
I'd say Costa Rica.
I was gonna say the same thing.
Not because we got married. That was just something extra on top of making it special. But I think because we went to Costa Rica right towards the end of when everything was starting to open up again after COVID, and we hadn't been able to travel and just get out and do stuff. So I think it was just extra special just finally being able to go somewhere.
I think that might have been like the first trip that we did so many excursions, not through a company, but just kind of on our own with some of our friends, where if I were to describe that in one word, it would be adventurous.
Mhm.
It wasn't just, hey, we did zip lining. It's like we went to the rainforest, and it was just everything that you would expect. Very damp and dark, and we saw a lot of wildlife, and we learned a lot about the
Coffee
animals.
and sugarcane and chocolate, and we just learned a lot.
Yeah, it's actually a very beautiful country. After that, I'm like, what else do these other countries have to offer? Because it's one of those, personally, I like cruises, but I want to spend more time in some of those locations to absorb more of the culture. And I think in Costa Rica, we just got a ton of that. And that might have, if I were to pick an event that kind of kicked off the addiction, I would say Costa Rica, because of how much we did. There was so much variety that I was ready for more.
The Costa Rica trip that you're talking about is kind of how I never did any cruising growing up. Tae, as we said earlier, the Carnival cruise that we went on was my first cruise. That trip was like how I used to travel with my family, was that type of traveling. So it was nice to get back into that type of traveling where you're planning on your own. You get to do what you want. We rented a car. We took a 3-hour drive to go into the central part of the country, spent our time there, went back to the hotel later on in the day. It was fun. It brought back a lot of memories of my childhood traveling.
Was there a moment for the both of you that you can think back in the last 2 years that you've been documenting your trips that didn't make the vlog that you wish did?
Yes.
Are you thinking the Alaska one?
Yes.
Yeah.
So, and when we flew up to Anchorage, Alaska, it was our second day there. It was our second video. And we spent all day in downtown Anchorage, and we had to go pick up my friends at the airport. And I just popped in airport on the GPS and just let it take me wherever it was going to take me. So we're driving, and I thought something was up, and Chelsea's like,
where are you going? And he's like, the airport. I go, which one? And he's like, there's more than one. And I go, yeah. And he's like, oh. And it was just really funny. And I wish we had it on camera.
So I'm like, I ended up pulling off to the side of the road. I'm like, well, I think it's the wrong one, because it just did not seem like I was heading in the right direction. And we got a great chuckle out of it. And luckily we were on time picking our friends up. But
we'll still bring it up and chuckle about it, because it was just funny that he picked the wrong airport, or didn't even realize there would be more than one airport.
Yeah.
And he didn't didn't think twice, like maybe I should be going to the international airport, things like that.
Oh, yeah.
He was just going to the smaller domestic airport. So it was funny.
What would you say is the biggest challenge that you faced together as a couple while you've been traveling?
With the channel or without?
I think without might be the more interesting. We can do both, but let's start without.
Yeah.
I'll do with the channel.
Okay.
Because the most challenging is is filming everything to create the story. And that's always running in the back of my head, is how am I going to edit and present the content and make it engaging enough. So while I'm trying to make sure I get those shots, that means that we have to slow everything down without missing like our flight or our, hitting our itinerary. So
it's time consuming. It takes a lot longer to get things done.
Yes.
With the channel, it might take double or triple the amount of time.
Yep.
So,
and that could be frustrating. And I'm the type of person, I'm more focused on getting the content, and then she's focused on, getting.
Let's get the Uber so we can get to where we need to be next. So a lot of times I notice I'm not on my phone a lot, but I do notice that when I go back and watch videos of us, I am on my phone, but I'm like, I'm not being rude.
Yeah,
I'm planning stuff, or I'm just double checking things, make sure like our Uber's on our way, or get the address to where we're staying, and things like that. So I'm like, I keep seeing that. I'm like, man, I look rude, but I'm actually doing something that's crucial to our next steps.
Or else it would probably take us a lot longer to do things if you were engaged in the camera all the time.
Yes.
So
and it's already taking enough like those extra minutes to get what we need done. So
those are personal struggles that we deal with when we're vlogging and stuff, because I have a different priority than what Chelsea's is, and sometimes we butt heads on that. But definitely in the beginning, but I think we've grown into, okay, how are we doing this where we kind of know our roles, and we're like, okay, Chelsea does have her role, I have my role, and I do more of the filming, and she helps me along the way with some of that, especially if I'm driving. I think we've established, we appreciate the work that we both put into it, and it just, now we have an understanding of how our vacations need to flow. I think before that, though, before the channel, I think the biggest challenge, if I may interject an idea, is keeping me fed.
Yeah.
Yeah. I would say making sure that I don't get hangry. And sometimes when you're doing excursions and stuff, you're under someone else's schedule. Just making sure that I have some sustenance is, I would say that would be the challenge before the channel.
Yeah, I don't know if we had a lot of challenges before the channel. Maybe not just not having money to go do stuff. I don't know, in time. I don't know.
I think it was very easy to travel with Chelsea.
It's an interesting perspective when you talk about keeping you fed, because now when I think back at a lot of your stories, there's a lot there where Chelsea's putting food away, thinking probably in advance of when you're going to be hungry. One video really sticks out, which was Alaska. I think you were going for a hike, and you had sat down and eaten this really random breakfast out of a paper plate with like oranges and Go-Gurts and whatever. And I remember there was a scene where Chelsea was packing her backpack, and 80% of her backpack was food. And I was like, well,
yes, it was.
Yeah.
And then I now that you say that, I can see, it's the joy of a supporting cast. You're thinking of things that you're not thinking about in front of the camera. And then, I can definitely see the appreciation, because I know in a lot of videos you'll see, you'll be walking, doing monologues, talking about what you're doing, and then you see Chelsea off to your side, and she's either carrying one of the GoPros, or she has the neck mount around her neck, or she's carrying a tripod or something. So there's that,
what you do on our channel is when I'm doing a dialogue in front of the camera, you should just reach in with like, a cheese stick and just feed me a cheese stick.
And I think where I saw one of the things, one of the most natural reactions was when you went to the July 4th party. And Chelsea had packed this big picnic, and you seemed legitimately shocked that she had thought about packing food and drinks. kind of thing where you just show up and sit down, but then you don't think about, eating. So, the supporting cast appreciation, I can definitely see it throughout your videos.
It's actually interesting that you're saying that because of course it's our life and we're just living it, but it's interesting getting a different person's perspective of the dynamic between
what they're seeing from the
us.
outside that
Yeah.
we don't see.
Yep.
And I can say for anyone who's watching or listening, one of the things that you can see, throughout A Pretty Good Life's videos is every video you watch, I felt like I got to know you both a little bit better. It leaves a lot of questions. I'm so happy you're doing this podcast with me because I think we can close a couple of the gaps, and we already have. But I would say another thing that has led me to staying and watching is the fact that I feel like I get to know you. Going back to travel though, and both of you, how do you think travel has strengthened your relationship over the years?
I'm glad he likes traveling.
Yeah. Well, especially with your travel and your childhood, it was important to you to continue. I'm a very open-minded person. I want to experience and do anything and everything because I don't want to live with a regret. There's so many things out there, and I think that's why I dive into so many hobbies, because I want to learn. I'll never know if I'm missing something unless I try it. So I think with her and I traveling together, it's just another thing that we're doing. I don't want to have a regret of not going somewhere or not seeing something. And I think that's helped strengthen us, because I'm supporting your desire to travel.
My habits.
And it actually, I think if it was anyone else that didn't want to travel, I don't think that I would be traveling as much as I do. I do have some anxiety when it comes to certain situations, especially being in foreign countries or unknown situations that I've never experienced. I don't think any of those anxious situations actually come through on the videos. I do in the background try and overcome that by just saying yes to situations. Like, yes, I'll try this. Yes, I'll go do that.
That's really interesting because there's some videos where I see the two of you literally walking through a forest to get to this unknown beach, and I'm like, I don't know if I could ever do that. I would be afraid like I'm gonna get shot or gonna walk up on a cartel plantation or something like that. And you guys do it with such grace, and I appreciate the fact that you talk about your anxieties because I don't think enough people do. I remember
Yep.
there was that video where you saw a sign of like unexploded ordnance or something like that.
Oh,
I would have I would have been gone from that place. And you guys just, okay, I guess we can't go that way. Let's turn around and find something else. I
Yep.
really admire that in the two of you. And also, I hate to use a cliche term, but a lot of the things that you both do are things that are off the beaten path. And you're finding these restaurants and cafes and souvenir shops and corner stores that not a lot of people will do. I think it's really nice to see those things because I think it gives other travelers like us the courage to do it.
It was one of those things when I was younger. I don't think it comes through at all in our videos, but when I was growing up, I was a very shy kid. I was that kid that would just hide behind their parents, and if a stranger talked to me, I would just hide my face. And it took a long time for me to grow out of that bubble. But you were talking about finding these things off the beaten path. It's being able to talk to other people and strangers and people that live in that area to find those things and have those interesting adventures. But I think that's kind of where my anxiety comes from, is being very shy.
For you, Chelsea, like what has traveling together strengthened for you in your relationship?
Well, I've gotten to go back to places I haven't been to in 15, 20 years, which is nice to see things as an adult that I saw previously as a child. Just being able to just go see more. I think that I'm just glad that he likes traveling and wants to go to places. And it's nice to share it with someone who wants to travel the way that I like to travel and learn about new cultures and go to new places and see new things and just experience adventures and what's out there. There's just so much to see, and there's just so much and it sounds cheesy, so much beauty. And when you're out there traveling and seeing these places, you're like in awe, or I get in awe of just being able to experience and be there. It's like, wow, I'm really here. This is a real thing. This is just beautiful. This is like peaceful to me, I guess, or I don't know.
I'll say,
I just love.
yes, you can watch our videos and see what we're seeing. There's nothing like being there, especially, you know, for instance, like being in Glacier Bay up in Alaska, or seeing the mountain ranges. It's a different experience, and I'll see those videos again, and it doesn't hit as hard as like being in the center of it, because the sense of scale is so off from how tiny we are to how big these monumental like landscapes feel when you're actually there. Definitely travel. There's
just so much out there, and we're just lucky that we are able to go do it and see it. And also, I like traveling. When I travel, I like to do the touristy things, but I also really like to not do the touristy things, you know, do what the locals do and things like that. And I'm glad that he kind of likes doing that as well.
Yeah.
So let's start with you, Chelsea, on this question. What's something you've learned about Tae, you know, through vacationing together so much that maybe you wouldn't have learned about him if you weren't on the road?
I think it opens him up in trying new things when we travel. A lot of times he's like, I wouldn't normally do this, but let's do it. Things like that. I think that's something that I've learned about Tae now that we've been traveling more. He's a little more I want to say more outgoing. Well, maybe a little bit more outgoing.
Yeah, I mean, I've eaten termites.
Yeah.
I'll do anything. We could do a whole series on will Tae do this? And I'll probably say yes, as long as, you know, I know my life's not in jeopardy.
Also, I took Latin in high school, so it's been nice when we've traveled to places. Tae does know a little bit of Spanish, so I know a few words. I'm not very good at it, but he's definitely has a more of a strength in that aspect of it. Also, he'll go out there and talk to people. I'm not someone who's going to go up and talk to someone and be like, hey, what are you doing? And blah, blah, blah. I'm just not that type of person, but Tae will. So him being a little bit more outgoing in that aspect has brought some more cool opportunities for both of us.
And then same questions to you, Tae. What's something you learned about Chelsea through traveling that maybe you wouldn't have learned if you didn't travel as much?
Chelsea is she's a preparer, and sometimes I critique that, you know, she likes to pack a lot, but there are times where she's ready for those situations. Especially, we had a video that came out, health and wellness stuff that you should be traveling with, and a lot of it, you know, I'm more fly by the seat of my pants. Let's just go and do it, and I don't think of all the little things that I should be packing. I'm just, do I have clean underwear, shirts? Okay, I'm good. Chelsea plans a little bit more. She's like, well, you were in a foreign country, you know, you could drink bad water and you might need something for that. And I think because of her experiences, that's trained her to think about those things. So I will say her experiences and her preparation has helped us in traveling.
It could be dangerous going somewhere not having certain things. Like I always have sunscreen. I always have water. I always have, you know, a little first aid kit. A lot of places you travel to aren't like being, you know, in Canada or the US. So you have to anticipate if something goes wrong. Do you have the proper items? Say you're going hiking. You need to have, even though it's August, it's 90 degrees out. If you're going hiking up a mountain, you still need a hat, mittens, long sleeve shirts, or a jacket of some sort, because you got to prepare for anything that might come about, like in weather wise. Like that's how I kind of think, like, what if this happens? So
I know you guys don't see yourselves as influencers, but I will say I was influenced by the health and wellness video. I used to, when I saw that little case that you have, you can put all the pills in different sections, and there were stickers that kind of replicated the Advil bottle or whatever. Anyways, 2 of those cases are now in my Amazon basket.
Awesome.
I was waiting for our next trip to buy it. A small inside joke. So I don't know, you know, for those people that haven't seen this video yet, it is one of your cruises. I think you were departing out of Seattle. But Tae, do you give Chelsea a hard time being such a prepared person that she was not prepared for the warm weather in Seattle? And I know you commented on it, but is that something you look back and say, as prepared as you were, I was a little bit more prepared that day?
Yeah. Well,
Yes.
on a side note, Chelsea does get cold in a lot of situations that like in the middle of the summer when it's really hot, she's cold. She's bundled up. She probably thought that she would have been cold in Seattle, especially, it's supposed to be overcast all the time. But yes, I do remind her of that incident.
So
Yeah.
let's move on to sort of growth, challenges, real talk about being a creator on the world's biggest platform. What do you think has been your hardest challenge, trying to be creators on YouTube?
I do all the editing and stuff. I think it's finding our our digital fingerprint, and what I mean by that is a specific style. And I don't want to, I can take some influence from other creators that we follow, and when I consume other videos, I look at how they're shooting those angles and everything. But I'm like, I don't want to mimic someone else. We're gonna have our own flair, and then trying to figure out what that flair is. I would say, I don't know, maybe I found it. If I were to answer what our flair is, I couldn't answer it right now. I'm always looking at things to, hey, maybe we can incorporate this, and I'm always looking to grow. But I think the most challenging thing is finding our niche and what our flair is.
I think your flair, just as a, like I said, as a fan of viewer, is you don't hog the screen. In every video, you're always asking, either, Chelsea for her opinion, or other people who are in your videos, you're including them. I know a lot of people are not comfortable being in front of the camera or don't want to be a part of it, but they're an important part of the story. And I like
Yeah.
that whatever you do, you make everyone who's participating with you or experiencing with you, you make it a part of the story. And I really
Yeah.
like that, because I think that's unique in the sense that a lot of other creators I see, it's almost like they're focused on themselves, and the location or the experience is that's the supporting cast. But
Right.
it's about me and what I'm going through. I like the fact that you're including everybody. I think your flair is again very relatable, and the fact that you include everybody in your story, because they actually help make it. That extra, that when I look back at some things, that 20 or 30% of the story that I feel is missing, you close that gap. You're only missing maybe 10% of the story.
Yeah.
You're not having to recite things afterwards and look back and say, hey, this happened. You're actually including it, and I think that's great. Okay, yeah. So
Yeah.
Chelsea, what's been the hardest challenge about being a creator, and then kind of something we were talking about before, being a creator, not being as
I
comfortable
I
as, let's
still
say,
don't.
Tae.
Yeah, I'm still very uncomfortable being in front of the camera, and it's been it's been really difficult, but it's good to make some progress because I'm getting out of my comfort zone. It's good to, try new things, and I think each time we go on vacation, I think I do a little bit better. I think. But I try. I try. And I think that's like the most difficult thing for me is putting myself out there. You're vulnerable. I don't know. I just find it very difficult.
Well, you definitely try because you're the one who suggested that maybe you should get the similar action camera that I
Mm.
had, because it would be easier to use in situations, and you can help me film when I'm can't control the camera
I would rather do the B-roll. That's where I'd be comfortable with
behind the scenes.
behind the
But you
scenes.
did that when you used to help out with plays.
Yeah, back when I was in like middle school, I helped with the theater, and I was in like 5th, 6th grade, and I actually had like an acting position, and I did fine. I hated it. I rather be behind the scenes in control, like the stage manager, helping the director and telling everybody what to do. I guess maybe the planning part of it.
Yep.
I would prefer to do that than be the spotlight. I
Yeah,
was telling even
yeah,
Ty, I go, I wanted a small wedding. I didn't even want to be the spotlight at my own wedding. I rather keep it small, family, friends, a few people. I don't like it all of it on me. I don't like being the
yeah,
center of attention. So
yeah. When it comes to like your channel growth, and I can genuinely say from the bottom of my heart, I hope there comes a day where, your channel has a million people following you, and like I really hope you get there, and I think you will. But how do you deal with quote unquote slow growth or comparison to other channels?
I could care less. I think that's my thing.
Yeah.
I could care less if we get 2 people or 10 people. I'm happy where we are. It doesn't affect me. I think Ty likes that challenge.
Yeah, I almost look at it as like a game. How do I break the algorithm, and how do I get our content in front of new people, and maybe it's updating the thumbnails and making them more appealing, or the way that I present the information. And my goal is to grow the channel, because I have other ambitions with the channel, spreading positive messages and helping others grow. For me, it's, hey, this isn't our full-time gig. So for us, it's like a lot less pressure in trying to be successful, because our bills are not dependent on this channel success. Currently it's still, hey, we're having fun. I will say that there was a time period where I was learning how to edit videos, and we had some recipes come out, and it was a great opportunity to learn to edit, because there was more videos at my disposal. And Chelsea wanted to do the food of the days, and honestly, it was like planning and coming out with a video every single day. Especially if we have a trip coming up, we'd have to have like, if it were gone for a week, I'm like, Chelsea, we need the next 10 days like edited before we go on vacation, so we can still schedule those to come out. And a full year of videos,
it's a lot of work.
It's a ton of work. I was burnt out, and luckily I think the passion of traveling and documenting that helped jumpstart that again. Because you could see during our Alaska videos, it took me a while to edit the Alaska trip, because I was so new at it, that there was a big like lull between like the different days of the Alaska trip. And I am actually really happy that I got through that burnt out stage, and found that motivation to just trudge along. But every single trip, when we're on the trips, at the very end, or even during some of those experiences, I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, oh my God, I can't wait to edit this. This is going to be so much fun. This experience was a blast, and I can't wait to share it with everybody. Or I can't wait to see what the footage looks like on the big screen, right?
Yeah. Yeah. What does success mean for you two now, that you've been doing it for a couple of years?
I'm just surprised people watch us. It just still kind of in awe. Yeah.
I have the same mindset that, thank you for all the subscribers that follow us. It does mean a lot to us. And it means a lot that there's that many people that tune into us. They must like something that we're showing. And if they want to put a comment on what that is, I'd love to hear about it. Because I like the criticism. And if you guys want something specific, definitely leave a comment. But success to me is, without getting too deep into it, and I've talked to you, Jeff, in some of our earlier conversations. Success to me would be able to give back to the channel, to the subscribers, whether that's doing giveaways or trips, or hey, maybe we're on a cruise somewhere and we do giveaways to like 5 people, and their rooms are free, whatever that may be. We like traveling, and you'll see in our videos that we travel with a lot of friends, just meeting new people and making those new connections. I have a great time doing that, because you don't know, the world's big and it's small, but meeting those people and making those connections, and it opens up doors to other experiences.
If there was somebody on their journey, either just starting, or it could even be longer than you've been doing, but they feel stuck, what is some advice that you would give to those people who are on their journey?
I mean, for me, I don't give up. Try to see where you can make some adjustments to see if that works, like what you were saying earlier.
I would say you need to define like why you're doing it, because if you're defining moment is because I want to make money, I don't think that's a good enough answer. I think when people have passion, in creating something, or whether that's playing a musical instrument, the people who are successful are those people who, you know, pick up that guitar and play it for like 8 hours out of the day because they just cannot get enough of it. And if you do it for that reason, I think success will just
Find its
will
way.
just find its way. So, you know, if you're enjoying those trips and you're documenting it because you love to share those adventures, I don't think it'll get old. And I think, you know, if you go back on some of our videos, we were having a hard time figuring out what our niche was, because we have, you know, I have woodworking stuff in there, we have some cooking, and now we revolve the cooking around some of our foods that we've experienced on travel. But it seemed a little haphazard, but once you find what your niche is, I think the rest of the pieces will fall into place. And the hardest part for me in the beginning was telling stories and video editing. And it all takes practice, and it won't come in day one. And I'm still learning. There's still new tools out there, and, you know, techniques, and I'm still getting my feet wet.
I know for me, I think there's you sometimes feel a lot of pressure, and then that pressure takes away, you know, the joy, and it starts to feel like a job. And I really like how you said how you make the tie to, you know, to someone who's passionate about an instrument or woodworking, whatever it is. And again, you kind of talked about it when you talked about your, you know, when you first started dating, but I think persistence, non-creepy persistence is one of the keys to success. But to lighten things up a little bit and get to know more about maybe your plans in the future, you know, what is a dream destination that you both want to go to that you haven't been to yet?
So much on our list.
As I said earlier, I'd like to hit all the continents. So Antarctica, and I would like to do somewhere in on the Asian continent. I don't, there's so many options. I really don't know which one I would choose first. There are some places that I've been before I would try again because it's been so many years. Like I would do the Galapagos again because I know that's what you want to do. I'd go back to Africa, maybe a different area of the continent. I would love to see. I've always wanted to see like the gorillas out in the wild. There's so much out there.
I think you can't pinpoint
it's
one.
hard to pinpoint, but definitely Antarctica and somewhere on the Asian continent, just so it can check off that one of those things on my bucket list.
And how about you, Tae? Like where's a place that you're, you know, excited to see in the future?
I have a lot of
catching up to do.
Yeah. But one of them would be Japan. I think the culture, the food, you know, being able to see the different temples there, you know, going into Tokyo, staying in one of those pod hotels, the cleanliness of the city. I think Japan is up there, and we might make it happen soon.
Yeah, I was thinking maybe we'll do that next year in 2027.
Yeah, we're planning in the future, but it's in the cards.
I mean, I guess we could tell some of our plans over the next year where we're going. We have plans to go to the Netherlands, Iceland. We're going back to Alaska, which was unexpected. And we are going to be doing a cruise as well. And that's going to be going from Vancouver down the coast to LA. So we've got some trips planned in the near future over the next year. And then, as I said, we were just talking about for next year, and I just went to Tae. I go, why don't we do Japan? And he's like, really? I'm like, yeah, let's just do it. Let's start planning now. Let's do Japan. So I'm have a good feeling that's where we might be going next year. So,
you know, this is great for me because I have many seasons of content to look forward to.
Yes.
Well, yeah. Oh, and Hawaii.
Oh,
I think we might do
Hawaii too. Yeah. But
yeah, that's like number one on our list right now. Is to everyone that has been to Hawaii that we know comes back and just says it's a very special place in the world. So it's high on our list to go check out. You know, keeping it light for the two of you. What is your go-to airport snack?
Oh man, mine's anything sweet. It could be chocolate, chocolate cake.
You know what? Our friend Marie, she got me into this Cheez-Its.
Oh, okay, those little cheese crackers.
Yeah, well, and I don't know if they still make them, but they had those little cups. of Cheez-Its, so they wouldn't get smushed in your in your carry-on. But for some reason, she always carries them, and she got me into doing that. So I always have to make a trip to one of the stores to try to find those Cheez-Its in that type of container. And actually, our last trip, I think to Puerto Rico, I couldn't find it. I was actually a little upset. Yeah, sometimes we'll be coffee, depending on where we are in our travel time for the day.
You know what I really like? Those cupcake vending machines.
Mm.
They come out with some good cupcakes.
So for whoever the creators of Cheez-It are, or if you run a cupcake vending machine business, if you need some ambassadors, we got two people right here.
Yeah.
And you know what? I don't eat Cheez-Its any other time. I will not go buy a box of Cheez-Its, but when I travel, that's
But
one
don't
nice
let don't let that deter them from sponsoring our videos.
Yeah.
Outside of your your camera gear, and obvious stuff like underwear and clothing, what is one item that you never travel without?
I know mine.
Yeah, don't worry, Chelsea. We're coming to you in a second. We gotta get out of time.
I know what mine is.
Yeah, okay. I was gonna say the obvious thing, like a phone, right? But everyone has that on them. I would say my noise canceling earbuds.
Oh, okay.
Because when you're on a flight, there's so much white noise around you. Even if I'm not listening to something, I'll keep them on and it will drown out that white noise.
That is your can't travel without. How about for you, Chelsea? You had it, you were pretty quick to find it. So
do you know what it is?
Yours? Your scarf?
Yeah. I have a scarf. It's like a big wide scarf. I probably bought it 6-7 years ago now. I can use it as a blanket. I can use it if I'm sitting next to someone on the airplane. I can use it as like a hood. I just find it's very versatile. I utilize it and versatile. Yes. But it's been to Costa Rica. It's been to Mexico. It's been to the Caribbean. It's been on cruises. It's been, everywhere. And it's the first thing I pack in my carry-on. Yeah. That's my most important thing.
Okay, coming from a viewer and a fan, I would have said for Tae it would be your sling. There's something wrapped around your chest at all times.
Yep.
And then I think another supporting cast member for your shows is a pink Fall Raven backpack that is shown itself.
Yes. Oh yeah.
Yes. Yes.
So we got just a couple more questions, but what are you both most excited about, or like the trip? What do your next, the next thing you're going to share, with everybody? What are you most excited about?
Oh man, well, we talked about Iceland, right?
Mm-hmm. I would say our next trip is going to be in Europe, and Ty's never been to Europe, so that's what I would think would.
Yeah,
be exciting.
So, we talked about our dog. Her name is London, named after Chelsea's favorite city. So,
oh, wow.
Yeah. So I always thought that the first country that we would have visited would be England, and it is not. Yeah. This is going to be my first time over to Europe. It's not the country that I was expecting. I'm most excited for Iceland just because of the spectacular views and the hot springs, and I really want to see an active volcano, and we're going to see hopefully, crossing our fingers, one of Chelsea's favorite animals.
A puffin.
Oh, the little bird with the like the orange black beak.
Yeah.
I know, Tae, we talk about this. I think it's one thing that I admired about you when I first met you, but you talk about spreading a lot of messages of positivity, especially with everything going on in the world today. There's a lot of I think a lot of people tend to steer towards negativity and clickbait and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
For your viewers and your subscribers that are watching this, and anyone who lands on the page, and I'll ask you both the same question, but Tae, what's one message you'd want to share with everybody who's watching this right now?
Don't wait to live your life. We've touched on it in the past with one of our videos of why we travel as much as we do, and both our mothers died at a young age. My mother especially, she was going to travel after she retired. It was kind of eye-opening for me, and I would say that's a defining moment when I'm like, just go do it. If you want to travel, just find any means to do it, because there's so many different ways nowadays that you can travel on a budget, and don't wait to do that to retirement. Don't wait to live your life till that point. Just do it now.
That's probably the one thing that came to my mind too, is when you asked the question, because my mom was in her early 50s, and also I'm getting close to her age that she passed away, and it was unexpectedly. And I keep thinking, oh, it's only 8 more years away. I'll be her age. It's only 7 years away and I'll be her age. So just if it's something you want to do, try a way to do it. There's ways of traveling cheap. There's ways of traveling in luxury. Don't wait, because you might not have that time to enjoy it or even get there. It just, yeah. Don't wait.
Well, since that was going to be Chelsea's answer, I have another answer.
All right.
It's like you said, people get in these little ruts about thinking about the negative stuff because that's always so polarizing and, gets the headlines going, right? I make a mental note when I travel is to try and stay positive, because it's like, I want to enjoy what I'm doing, right? I'm on a trip. You're on vacation. You should be enjoying that vacation. If you're negative on that vacation, you need to check why, right? It could be, an experience, and you can control your emotions. Just reset and know that, hey, things will be okay. Let's get back to it. And you're here for a good reason. You're here to enjoy that experience. I'm like everyone else, right? Everyone can get agitated over certain little things, events, whatever. I've learned to move on and not let it affect my whole trip. It's like an incident, it happened. Let's move on.
Before I let you sort of share where everybody can follow you and all that kind of stuff, I know that when people, either follow somebody on social media or subscribe to a YouTube channel, sometimes the meaning or what you want to do in your channel, people relate to it a different way or get a different meaning out of it. And to kind of end things off for me, and to help encourage other people to follow your guys' journey, your YouTube channel says it's a pretty good life. And I think what I admire most about your journey and what you share is that, you're not trying to chase a perfect life, but you're just trying to have a meaningful one. And I can definitely see it through your journey and your videos. And I think it aligns really well with what you've talked about, during this podcast, and what you want to share with your audience and stuff like that. So, I'd like to end things off. I'd like to thank you, Tae and Chelsea, again for coming on the podcast today and for being the first episode and what I hope is going to be many more. But for anybody watching, where should people, where can people follow your journey? Maybe this is your time to kind of, plug your YouTube channel and maybe any social media that you've got.
Yeah. So you can find us on YouTube at A Pretty Good Life. We do post on other social media, apps, Instagram. And I will say, we focus a lot more on YouTube. But I think we're going to start taking off a little bit more now that Chelsea wants to dive into photography again. We'll have a lot more pictures and stuff to help reinforce and tell different parts of the trip that we might not capture with video all the time. So we're on Instagram. Instagram is at A Pretty Good Life 42. So I came up with that number 42 because it's 4 per and I. A Pretty Good Life was taken in this instance. And then on Facebook and TikTok is A Pretty Good Life.
I want to thank you both again. It's been such a pleasure getting to know you better. For everyone following along, I hope to do a lot more of these video podcasts in the road. And I've talked to our co-hosts here, Tae and Chelsea, about doing a couple more. So I don't think it's the last time you're going to see them. There's a lot of things that, Tae and I have talked about, doing some podcasts on, getting more in depth about certain things like camera gear and, our addictions in other places other than traveling. So I know this is not probably, or hopefully not the last time you're going to see them. I know you're going to see them again, but like I said, from a random Instagram message to where we are today doing an interview together, I can't thank you both can't thank you both enough for being so open to it. And, for those of you that haven't watched these two before, carve out a couple hours. And my journey through the YouTube channel, I was bouncing from one video to the next. I didn't go through one series. What I really enjoyed about them is how relatable they are, how relatable you guys are. And also just how every single video you watch, you get to know them a little bit better. And it pushed me to the point after maybe 3 or 4 hours of watching where I said, I have to I've got to at least reach out to these guys and let them know how much I'm enjoying it. And it's resulted into this. And Tae's really quick for I think he's the one that manages the Instagram account.
Yeah.
I know a lot of people complain about speed to answer. Tae's pretty quick in answering. So if you send them a message, you'll probably get a response pretty quick.
Yeah.
But yeah, like I said, thank you guys again. It's been an awesome podcast. I can't wait for everybody to watch it, and hopefully everyone follows along for future episodes, and hopefully we'll see Tae and Chelsea a lot more down the road.
Absolutely. Thanks for having us.
Thank you for choosing us.
Yeah, no
I felt like we won the lottery. We're like, or like we're like the a puppy that got adopted.
Well, I'll tell you, for the record, whatever revenue we make on this thing, there'll be some of it headed, half of it headed your way. So let's hope we get to a few million views on this one.
Awesome.
All right. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay. All right. Thanks a lot, guys.
Bye-bye.